Museo de Art. I have with me Erik LaPaglia. He is really making moves here in the space. I appreciate you sitting down with me. Obviously, we're coming from all around the world to put this together. So tell me a little bit, Erik, about what brought you here to Metaverso and your work in the space.
Well, Bruce, first, thanks for having me. Honestly, it was a conversation with G. Sometimes I succumb to peer pressure, and so we had bumped into each other at the Playboy NFT party in Miami at Art Basel, and he's like, no, you should come. And I've known him for a while now, and we have a lot of mutual friends. And so I try and, follow the smart money. They say in the traditional markets, I follow the smart people. So when he said come, I said, you know what? It's 2 a.m. Let's see what the next flight is. And so I was on the next flight out of Miami down here, and it's been a whirlwind. And that's what the space is right now. It's moving at a mile a minute, but the traction that's starting to really take hold in kind of traditional media, traditional verticals that you would not normally see us like as crypto natives really operate in, but these normies are starting to come in on a daily basis. And we were just talking about that before we went live.
Yes.
Like, that's the moment. He called it the Woodstock moment, but it's that inflection point where it's like, wow, I really think there's something here that is going to be like that clear delineation point of before or after. And we're there. I really believe we're there right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's amazing. And one of the things we were talking about off camera was that, there is a very small amount of people who have actually gotten into space, who actually own crypto. And I talk about it all the time. I was home with my family over Thanksgiving, and they said, well, do you think it's going to keep growing from here? And I said, the fact of the matter is, most people still don't own any crypto.
That's the truth. I mean, the internet at its peak was growing 61% year over year. Right now, crypto is growing 131% year over year. And I don't believe that the mass adoption is anywhere close. Couple of things are going to take place in the next few months. The digital yuan, even though it is a centralized digital currency, it is going to get a 4x multiple of people holding digital assets into the space. But then as an addition of that, what we're here talking about, NFTs, that's the paradigm shift. That's the game changer, because my hallucination is we will have a platform in the next, say, 18 to 24 months that there is 100+ million users on. 99% of these people, Bruce, will have no earthly clue what they're transacting in is digital anything, NFTs, crypto related. And look at where we started in the space. Look at where this big explosion really happened. It was with NBA Top Shot, Dapper on the Flow blockchain. For the first 6-8 months, they never uttered the word NFT. It was just a digital thing that people were starting to collect. And as NFTs really started to have a moment, they're like, oh, well, guess what? That's where we are as well. And so I think that's where we're going to go full circle. And then we're off to the races. Then it's the shift has really taken place.
Well, it's amazing. There's one of the things I got to talk, interview Jody Rich while I was out in Metaverso. And it was one of the things that not only him, but also some of the other people that I got to interview. It was really, there was a wealth of wonderful people there. But the big brands getting into the space because of the NFT. And whether or not we were able to protect intellectual property before or not, now the big corporate brands believe that we can protect their intellectual property through the NFT. And this is, we're going to see mass adoption, in my opinion, like we've never seen before.
Absolutely. And I can just speak for myself. I know projects and people that I'm advising in the space, and these are Fortune 500 companies. This is not your, small community-driven project. These are mass companies with billions and billions of dollars that they're looking to deploy in a new and unique way. And so that is unbelievably exciting to see what that looks like. And honestly, it's not going to be the projects that we see successful right now. This is going to be the unsexy stuff like NFTs for supply chain logistics. And you might go, what's the value prop there? But that's giving them certainty from the inception point of their ingredients or materials all the way to the end product that's sitting on a shelf, to be able to tell that story with certainty, not only to their customer base, but also for their balance sheet, for any sort of, this has never been lost on me. I heard this number a few years ago. It was Nike. I believe they have almost 2% what they call slippage of their manufactured product to what actually gets to the shelf. That's unreal. That's hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of time. That's no longer going to be the case with NFTs because it's going to be trackable from step one to the very end of the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, a couple comments coming in on LinkedIn here. That's pretty awesome. NFT and security as well, the IP, the intellectual property that we're talking about. But he mentioned something here, which is kind of the supply chain and keeping track of everything, and it's huge. And it's something, one of my favorite projects for Saga, and that's one of the things they're working on, is putting the supply chain on the blockchain, and using smart assets and NFTs and everything like that to do this. But the breakage, like you said, is huge.
Yeah.
And you're able to use an immutable, smart asset and track things through there. And it's really just amazing. And as these enterprise solutions roll out, we'll start to see governments actually use it. I know we mentioned the Retosa Summit. I'll be there again. I'm normally a media partner there. But Dubai has been trying to go on the blockchain for years.
Yeah.
And they really haven't accomplished it yet. They've accomplished a lot of things. I'm there all the time. A lot of us are there all the time. But that, getting it into the enterprise solutions, I think, is huge. So I know you advised a few projects. Some of them maybe you can mention, some of them you can't. What are some of them that you can mention that you're most excited about?
Oh, I'm excited that we're able to help build community. So I look at a dear friend, Sean Kelly, who has Dini Chibos, and where he is going with that project, bringing in 3D gaming and other aspects. That to me is like what we all strive for. We want to take these art projects and really build out community in a meaningful way. I even mentioned Floyd Mayweather Jr. Believe it or not, guys who own Floyd World NFT, I was speaking to his team last night. He's 100% engaged. I know that it hasn't gone the way that we all hoped to start, but we are moving forward, and there are some really, really exciting things on the forefront of that. And that's what I am most excited about, is how we can do these ecosystem mergers, how we can bring like a community-driven project like the Floyd's World and bring in potential corporate partners or gaming partners or platform partners, because it is not lost on me that the Bitcoin white paper was a 9-page document that referenced the word trust 11 times. And that's what it's built on. This ecosystem is built on trust, that we all just want to help each other thrive and grow and really push this forward, where it's no longer the cool kids are only talking about this. This is your grandma's going to be saying, tell me something about that NFT stuff, or tell me something about crypto, or do you think ETH is a buy at this price? That's the conversation I want to have. And it's what I'm starting to see. Like, it's amazing to me. My wife, her mom is 79 years old, and she was talking to me about Bitcoin. Like, my mother-in-law talking to me about Bitcoin and saying, you know what I want. And what she said is, she's like, she's got two kids, and she considers me her child as well. She's like, I want 3 Bitcoins, one for each of you. And I'm like, yes, like we've arrived. Like, that's it. That's what I want.
Right. And that's actually what I tell people all the time when they talk about the price and everything. I said, don't you think that everyone's going to want at least one for their kid? Like, at least one. Like, give your kid at least one. And there's only going to be 21 million of them. So
that's, 21 million, but let's be real. A number of them have already been lost. So I don't know if that real number is closer to 17, 18.
A lot.
But
it's probably more like 14.
And so we're going to get to that point where it's real scarcity. And again, we were talking off camera. We were having a great conversation before we went live. The biggest pool of liquidity in the world is public and private pension funds, none of which are investing in blockchain technology or crypto or NFTs in any sort of meaningful way at this point. Once they start to really go into the space, that's when you're going to see this massive spike up, because there's just not going to be enough to go around, especially at these capped assets like a Bitcoin or like some of these NFT projects.
And Ethereum now is burning.
I know.
They're burning. And so that's just going to continue to go up. I don't see the gas prices coming down much. They tried to fix it, but
this is a systemic problem, and that's why I think some other projects are maybe going to get some more meaningful traction in this space. Because if you look at the gas fees, and not necessarily for larger corporations, that's kind of an innocuous price of doing business. It's these smaller projects where you just can't do it, and especially if they want to stay affordable. If you have $1,000 price point and then you tack on $300 in gas, I mean, that's a real tax of doing business.
It's huge. No, and for a lot of people, we're talking about people in places where they're not making much money, and they're looking, and it's $100 to move some tokens. They're only trying to move like $5 or $20. It's
But those people that you just talked about, that is going to be the paradigm shift, because let's be real, people. The only difference between third world and developed nations is proof of ownership. And so the fact that this gives us an asset and a viable path to provide proof of ownership to any dark corner of the globe, that's it. That's the game changer. And so you look at a continent like Africa, where their prepaid mobile minutes is still the currency of choice because it is a stable predictor of value. That's going to change. That is going to be cryptocurrency driven in the next, I don't know, 2, 3, 5 years. And so look at that. Look at South America, which has a similar kind of disposition. El Salvador adopting BTC as its national currency, because if you owned $1,000 worth of El Salvador's currency, or a stack this large, you didn't know the next day whether it was going to be able to buy a loaf of bread or not. With Bitcoin, you have some sense of price certainty.
Yeah, well, especially it's moved so much. I mean, I've been in, I don't know how long you've been in, but I've been in since Bitcoin was under $100. So for me, I mean, when Bitcoin went to $400, I thought that it was overpriced. You tell that to people now, and it's, of course, everybody's laughing at you. Now, then when it went to 1,200, I thought, oh, wow, we really might go the distance on this. But still, when it went to 20,000.
But then it pulled back and went to 400 forever.
Yeah, no, it did. It went, and I thought, oh, I was right. Yeah. For a minute. But no, then, 20,000. But every time it goes way further than I thought.
Yeah.
And so you look at it this time, if you go, well, do you think we're going to hit 100,000 on this run? And of course, I'm kind of a perma bull at this point. So yeah, I mean, I think so. But anything can happen. It is crypto. Don't put anything in that you don't want to lose. The interesting thing about the NFTs, and you can talk a little bit more about this as well, is this, the IP, the intellectual property of the non-fungibleness of it and everything, and the fact that it's existing in the metaverse in a lot of different places. But think about a baseball card. Back in the day, we used to trade baseball cards, right? I mean, I never did, but people did. And you would go and you would look, and how much is this worth? And you would have like a pack, and maybe you wouldn't open the pack because maybe the pack had special ones in it. And just the fact that nobody knew, people would pay for it. And that's a lot of what we're getting now. You can buy a set of NFTs and not open them. You can merge the NFTs and make a new NFT, but maybe it'll be more valuable, or maybe it won't. All these types of things. So I know you were just in Miami, big NFT event there. I mean, how are you seeing the collectible portion of the space progress?
At a hyper accelerated pace. And it is the only thing that I've ever seen in my business career where if you ask the question, can you do it as an NFT? The answer is yes. It's just limited by your creativity. And so what you talked about, the ability like a wax where you cannot open the packs, or even the project that I referenced earlier, NBA Top Shot, or you can merge assets to create like very special NFTs. Like, this is the future for us. And it's not only that creates the scarcity and the rarity, it's then the utility that will unlock behind it. I was engaging, this is going to sound name droppy, but Gary Vee. I'm so impressed with so much of what he does, but specifically what I'm going to talk about is VeeFriends. Like, everybody kind of mocked him at first for these doodles, but not only has it become a cult-like movement, there's real utility behind there. You get 3 years of access to this VCon, and then you get other unlockables depending on the NFTs that you own. And so I think that if you look at what Tom Bilu, he's kind of replicating Gary's playbook. And so I think you're going to see a number of these people who already have communities or who are already prominent in some way, shape, or form want to follow that exact same model to really unlock utility. And then you talked about sports cards. This is a space that I think is ripe for disruption, first and foremost, but NFT adoption. And so you're already seeing some of the larger players look at high value assets and how they can create NFT strategies or even NFT leveraging, so lending against those assets. But I think that space is going to mature at a very accelerated pace.
It's so exciting, and you're running around the world. I'm running around the world. What does the next little bit look like? Are you going to go to North American Bitcoin Conference? Are you going to go home for Christmas? I mean, are you going to Coin Agenda tomorrow?
I'm here the whole week. I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose, but I am a trooper and I will stay the course. I am going to take a little pregnant pause for probably the last couple of weeks of the month. My wife wants to go skiing, and if I don't,
She wants to see you probably.
I think I'm going to be in trouble. You know, she normally comes along, but after
nice.
8 days of Basel, she said enough is enough. She did not come.
Yeah.
But it's good. And what it is I feel like we're at this point that I referenced earlier, where there's going to be this clear opportunity to look back in 3-5 years and say, oh my gosh, that was the moment in time. And so I just don't want to miss it. I feel like we're truly, I know that's a cliche, but I feel like we're living in history right now.
No, there's no doubt. We're writing it. And yeah, that's what my wife always said to me kind of over the last couple of years. You always say it's the biggest one, you know, like, but it is actually, you know, it's like they keep getting bigger and bigger. So, well, it was a real pleasure. How do people find you? Do you have a website? What's your Twitter handle?
Sure. You can find me on my website, which is eriklapaglia.com. That's Erik with a K, lapaglia.com. Or you can find me on Instagram, which is Erik Gets Results, or Twitter, Erik LaPaglia. Bruce, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for coming on. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
See you soon.